Hey everyone, doing another topic video today. This one is what are your feel-good movies? So here we go. My Fair Lady. Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison are pure joy together. The music is nothing short of magical, and the production and costume design is the most gorgeous I've ever seen in a movie. Everyone involved threw every ounce of passion and talent into this film. Yeah, I love My Fair Lady more for nostalgic purposes. And it is a feel-good movie for me as well. I noticed that it tends to be something that I watch during Thanksgiving, just because it reminds me of my childhood. You know, like I grew up watching musicals, and musicals are the genre that I probably know the most about. And, now I would say it's more like 1930s through maybe the mid-50s is more my expertise. But I grew up watching more of the 60s musicals, so this would fit right in that category. And yeah, there is just something to those old big budget Hollywood musicals that you just don't get anymore. And yes, the costumes are extremely lavish, and the spectacle of it and the orchestrations are quite beautiful. I do have my criticisms of the film, but I can't help that a lot of it resonates with me because of my past. I actually, when I was a little kid, I learned my vowels because of this movie, because she's constantly saying her vowels. And Rex Harrison is just fabulous. He is just, for those of you who don't know, he was the inspiration for Stewie Griffin from Family Guy. And when people used to ask me what my favorite rapper was when I was a kid, I would be an asshole and say Rex Harrison, because in My Fair Lady, he speaks all of his songs rather than singing them. But he's just hilarious, and like the gay overtones and everything that they don't even try to hide it. It just becomes part of the joke. All of that is just fantastic. There's no one like Rex Harrison, a personality like Rex Harrison, and for me, he's what really makes the film. Scott Pilgrim. It's cheesy and fun, and everyone in it is kind of a bad person that barely grows, but it always directly takes me back to 2010, the year I turned 18. Everything about it is comforting and reminds me of a time in my life where all my problems seemed huge, but were beyond trivial. I think that's a great way to describe Scott Pilgrim, at least your last part. But it seems here that, maybe I'm reading it incorrectly, but it seems almost like you're apologizing for liking it, and I don't think you have to. So surprisingly, I didn't see Scott Pilgrim until I think around March or April, so during quarantine, and I had never seen it before, and I loved it. It was wonderful. It was such a well-written, well-structured script. It moves beautifully. It's just full of vibrance and fun and passion and energy. It is hilarious. It's perfect for the millennial generation, but also being quite self-aware of it. And I love what you say at the end here about it being, reminding you of how your problems did seem so huge, but they weren't. And I think that's part of what is so special about Scott Pilgrim. It's the nostalgia of it, and then kind of watching it with perspective. I think that's probably why it's become such a classic, because that aspect of it resonates with you as you grow. And you can also appreciate it when you are that age, when you are in high school. Personally, for me, I have a lot of feel-good movies, but I think the one that just keeps popping up into my head as the main one is Singin' in the Rain. I think that film, like Scott Pilgrim in a lot of ways, is just full of color and vibrance and nuance, and the energy of it is just bursting at the seams. It has such a palpable presence and an energy about it that is, to me, some of the best of the time of musicals in the, maybe the late 40s into the early 50s, which were more kind of conceptual and visual in style. Definitely Gene Kelly's best film, I would say, just from a directing standpoint, from a choreographic standpoint, from all of that. And he was never more charismatic, just as a movie star, as a presence. The spectacle of it, the costumes, the ballet sequences, and the dance sequences in it are some of the best I've ever seen on film. Like the Moses Supposes number, I can't watch that and not be in a good mood. It's absolutely brilliant. And I love just how cheeky it is. It is so funny. It is a satire of Hollywood and how it was transitioning from, silent films into talkies. And all of that is very, very funny. The Apartment. Parts of the film are definitely melancholic and bittersweet, but the ending is definitely feel good. And it's the type of happy ending that I feel extremely well-deserved for the characters. Always puts a smile on my face. The Apartment is a divine experience as a movie. I think it's, that's actually a movie I always pick for Christmas, because, It has the Christmas feel to it. The first time I saw that film, I was actually quite surprised by the result. I thought it was going to be more what you're describing, like a feel-good kind of romantic comedy of sorts, but it turns out, of course, that it's very dark. And I should have known that going in, knowing that this was written and directed by Billy Wilder. But it is such a painful film, all about loneliness in this particular world, this society that we live in, the business world, the corporate world. Definitely kind of a cynical commentary on all of that. But I think what is so special about that film is just even in the darkest, and no matter how dark things can get for you, how much you may not love yourself, there's always somebody out there who does care. There is always true love and true happiness and true support to be found. It's just sometimes you have to look in unexpected places for it. The Shirley MacLaine character is a character who I strongly resonated with for many years, and I'm not proud of that, but she was somebody that I could certainly relate to for a very long time, and she's a very sad character. But now that I'm older and I watch it, with perspective and less tied to that character, I do see it as this kind of beautiful evolution of her, as well as for, both the characters in the movie. So yes, excellent film. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Nothing feels good quite like adventure, action, hidden treasure, and watching Nazis get punched in the face. Yeah, and that's very accurate to Raiders of the Lost Ark, though it does it in a very, very tasteful way for an action adventure type of film. Yeah, Raiders is just another example, like Star Wars, it has that feel of like a Flash Gordon 1930s sort of serialized episode, very simplified idea of what Nazis are and all of that. But it does have this sense of passion about it. And Harrison Ford is such a wonderful protagonist for us to follow. He's very gruff, he's very kind of subtle, very much, a movie star. My favorite scene in that entire movie is the map sequence, the map room. I grew up on Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course, like most of us did, so it holds resonance for me. But that particular, I think, is wonderful. Just kind of the music, the John Williams score is very mystical and powerful and kind of exotic. And I don't know, there's just a power to it. It could have been such a simple scene where it's like, yep, found it. But no, they build it to be this wonderful kind of cinematic, artistic moment. And I think that's what separates Raiders of the Lost Ark from a lot of its films that are similar to it or try to be similar to it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. John Hughes perfectly captures how a high school teen feels when playing hooky, and the movie also feels kind of dreamlike, the way Ferris himself is immortalized through the eyes of the other students for doing whatever he wants and not conforming. Okay, so I actually agree with you that Ferris Bueller's Day Off is definitely a feel-good movie, but I don't agree with necessarily your reasoning for it. I actually don't like the character of Ferris Bueller. I have a very interesting relationship with that movie. I love it. I've seen it a million times. And yes, it does perfectly fit the feel-good, category for movies, for sure. But for me, it is such an uneven film. I would love to review it. I really would. I just don't know if anyone would be interested. But, there are aspects of it that I think are just full of joy and are really interesting also. And then there are other parts of it that are just so messy and do not work. It constantly feels like it doesn't know what kind of movie it wants to be. It meanders at times. Like I said, Ferris Bueller I find to be an utterly boring character, and I feel the same about his girlfriend. The great character in this film is Cameron. He is the character who has the arc. He is the one who starts out in one way and completely evolves as a character in a way that is so satisfying. And Ferris really throws him under the bus in ways that I think make him quite unlikable. And there are a lot of other characters in the film that I think deserved more than they were given in terms of the material. And there are other characters that I thought were good, but they were given the wrong kind of material. However, the parts of it that work are excellent. And, I think, of course, naturally to that great parade sequence with the twist and shout. That's just fun. It's fun. It's great. And it's around that point in the movie where things start to ramp up. And then after that, there's much more of an excitement, a thrill to the film, which is, kind of intentional, I think. But I also just love, how existential it is. It really is. It's not just a movie about playing hooky. It's a lot about growing up and kind of facing your mortality as you age, and all of that stuff is fantastic. So yes, even though it's a very uneven film for me, there's a lot in it for me to enjoy, and it's a movie that I've seen many, many times because of it. My Neighbor Totoro, a beautiful movie that was probably my favorite as a kid, but nonetheless remains something I genuinely love, nostalgia set aside. It's taught me values about family and childhood that I still bear with me to this day. Yes, absolutely. Hayao Miyazaki has that effect. There is something so pure and wonderful about him because, I think a lot of it is because he has a lot more respect, I think, for the way children see things. I think he himself is very much a child who never grew up, who has a boundless sense of imagination and just chose to never truly grow up. Whereas a lot of like American movies that are animated, they feel like they're pandering to children. It feels like adults made them for kids specifically. This feels like it came from children, and that's probably why children have such a connection with it. But also, yes, it works so well the older you get because it does have those beautiful ideas of those beautiful feelings of what it means to have love and family, friendship, and it's all in the most simple of moments, I think. Those are what's so powerful. My Neighbor Totoro is full of the most simple but beautifully innocent moments. I think some of the best in all of Hayao Miyazaki, which is really saying something. And of course, their creativity and the little intricate things that go into the most subtle of moments is what makes it so authentic, so rich, and so fully dimensional from all kinds of different aspects. So yes, I think that Hayao Miyazaki, and I've said it many times, he is a true gem in the world of cinema. And that is my video, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Patreon supporters are here, as you can see. Thank you guys so much. The link to support that is below. Also, if you are a Patreon supporter, I am doing a holiday special for commissioned portraits and prints, so you can go to Patreon for more information on that. For those of you who don't know, I am an artist and I sell commissioned portraits if that's something you're interested in. I also have art prints available as well. All of these, good holiday gift if you're interested. But yeah, you can find all of that in my website below. And if you have any questions about it, certainly you can email me, you can DM me. But other than that, all my social media information is below. You can watch more videos here and you can subscribe if you'd like to. Catch you next time.